meddling where they shouldn't under many administrations, but it wasn't always like this. There was an FCC commissioner back in 2022 who worked under Joe Biden who was spot on. He wrote, President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship. You know who wrote that? FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. Our freedom to speak is what they admire most about this country. And that's something I'm embarrassed to say I took for granted until they pulled my friend Stephen off the air and tried to coerce the affiliates who run our show in the cities that you live in to take my show off the air. That's not legal. That's not American. That is un-American, and it is so dangerous.
The brilliant.
George, you've covered the story ad nauseum. Tom Homan did not take a bribe. It's a ridiculous smear. And the reason you guys are going after Tom Homan so aggressively is because he's doing the job of enforcing the law. I think it's really preposterous. I know Tom. I think that he's a good man. He gets death threats. He gets attacked. He gets constantly threatened by people because he has the audacity to want to enforce the country's immigration laws. I think that it would be a much more interesting story about why is it that Tom Homan, who is simply enforcing Americans' immigration laws, is getting constantly harassed and threatened to the point of death threats. That's a much more interesting question that I think journalists should focus on.
Russia, it's weaponizing Melania's past. I don't know if you know this, but on Russian TV, they frequently show Melania nude in order to mock Donald Trump. So they show all these photos of Melania. By the way, Melania's previously made posts about how proud she is of her nudes, but did you know that after Donald Trump and Melania met, she got what was called an Einstein visa? She was treated like a genius, an exceptional achievement visa that gave her a fast track to become a United States citizen.
Donald Trump's so-called storybook marriage to Melania is increasingly resembling a Hollywood thriller, with every passing day revealing more twists. Forget the fairy tale narrative spun by the media about their love story. What's really going on is far more complicated, filled with secrets, setups, and quiet deals. And now it seems Melania's patience may be running thin. Fresh details are starting to surface about how and why Melania was brought into Trump's world. And let's just say, it wasn't love at first sight, it was more of a calculated recruitment. Beneath the designer dresses and carefully orchestrated smiles lies a chilling story, one entwined with some of the most disturbing figures in America's elite circles. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and yes, Donald Trump himself are all part of this unsettling narrative.
So I think we should explore, how did Donald Trump meet Melania on or around the same time he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? We should build a timeline here. You see, Donald Trump went to a club in Manhattan called the Kit Kat Club, where there were parties that were frequently thrown for very rich Manhattan elites, businessmen, to mingle and find very young models from Eastern Europe.
Jimmy Kimmel had that moment with J.D. Vance, several of them. And the evidence that they landed where they were supposed to is the fact that Trump himself, the man Vance serves and defends every single day, started making snide, annoyed comments about his own vice president in private, according to two sources who spoke to the outlet Zeteo. Comments so pointed, so out of character for how Trump talks about his own team that the people who heard them were surprised. Let that sit for a second. Kimmel's jokes about Vance are landing so accurately.
The Prime Minister then joined Trump at a rally aboard the USS Washington, where she got to hear him just rambling to our troops on a range of subjects, including magnets. He hates magnets. He hates magnets, windmills, and sharks. But he loves steam.
I want to know, catapults, which is better, the electric or the steam? They had steam, which works so beautifully. Steam, they said they could fix it with a hammer and a blowtorch. I love the sight of that beautiful steam pour.
Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale, even a 5-year-old.
Two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his...
And Melania was a model from Eastern Europe who was brought to the United States, who would attend these parties where the rich men would show up and mingle with the model.
Before Melania ever set foot in Trump Tower, Donald Trump was already knee-deep in scandals involving young women, some half his age. According to the Sunday Mirror in London, Trump had a penchant for British beauties and was introduced to a 20-year-old model by none other than Ghislaine Maxwell. She wasn't the only one. Maxwell allegedly directed several young women toward Trump. This wasn't a coincidence, it was a pattern. And the names tied to these events, Trump, Maxwell, Epstein, are all drenched in disturbing allegations. So why do so many of Trump's closest relationships seem to center around controversial women, secretive parties, and foreign models? The timeline here isn't a love story, it's a political powder keg. No amount of red hats can scrub clean the sordid events that unfolded behind those velvet ropes.
Let's dig through this timeline, shall we? So what was Donald Trump doing in 1997, the year before he meets Melania? Well, in 1997, he's out there partying with Epstein and Ghislaine. This is from the London Sunday Mirror. This is 1997. How sweet. Trump's Brit of all right. Just weeks after ditching his second wife, America's best-known billionaire Donald Trump has fallen under the spell of a 20-year-old English girl. This was before Melania, okay? This is 1997. Trump 50, who has failed in his bid to secure the services of Princess Diana's butler, Paul Burrell, was in search of another British trophy when he met London model Anuska DeGiorgio at a party in Manhattan. Several American millionaires already had their eyes on Anuska, but she was there with Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine, who has introduced several of her attractive friends to the property developer.
By the time Trump officially met Melania in 1998, everything had been carefully orchestrated.
Mapping so precisely onto the documented reality of who Vance is and what he has done, that the President of the United States is privately validating them. This is the J.D. Vance story, not the version Vance wants you to know. The version documented in op-eds he wrote, interviews he gave, podcasts he recorded, and one classified room he entered on February 28, 2026, where everything he built his political identity around collapsed in a single meeting, and Jimmy Kimmel is the one reading the receipts. This channel runs on zero corporate money.
In all, it's been overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people in the world over the last 6 days. Everyone I have ever met has reached out 10 or 11 times. Weird characters from my past are the guy who fired me from my first radio job in Seattle, where we are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry, and I want to thank everyone who checked in. I would take all week to list all of them, but some that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late-night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert, who's found himself in this predicament. My friends Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, Conan O'Brien, James Corden, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, even Jay reached out. Sometimes I wonder in what world is the vice president of the United States calling into a giant tooth podcast host to badmouth me and the people who watch this show.
There are these judges. Judge Boasberg comes to mind. Lots of judges who are trying to basically say the president can't exercise the powers of the presidency. You're an attorney. How do you assess the legal battles here?
Yeah, I bet all those judges are huge fans of Jimmy Kimmel, by the way. But I think, Vince, that, one, we have an appeals.
Their encounter wasn't by chance, it was arranged by Paolo Zampoli, a modeling agent turned real estate mogul turned Trump ambassador. Sound random? It's not, Zampoli was known for hosting exclusive modeling events, often featuring imported women, and Trump was a regular attendee. That night, Trump met Melania at the Kit Kat Club, a venue famous for its wild animal shows, champagne, and TV cameras. Zampoli also played a key role in securing Melania's Einstein visa, typically reserved for geniuses and world-class talents, not for nude models. Yet, Melania bypassed the usual path to U.S. citizenship, while Trump consistently ranted against immigration. The hypocrisy here isn't just laughable, it's dangerous, calculated, and steeped in white privilege.
Based on an Einstein visa after meeting Donald Trump at the Kit Kat Club. Then she brings in her family, and now Donald Trump's against all of those same policies. Now, Melania is no, innocent person in all of this either. Melania, after Donald Trump, was caught on video bragging about sexually assaulting women and grabbing women by their genitals. And he says, because if you're rich, they let you do it. She said that's locker room talk and that she was okay with it. Here, play this clip.
He described it as locker room talk. To you, you sort of alluded to that as well. Is that what it is to you, just locker room talk?
Yeah, it's kind of two teenage boys. Actually, they should behave better, right?
$9 a month keeps it alive. Link in the description. Now let's start at the very beginning, because the Vance story starts long before the war. In 2023, J.D. Vance, then a United States Senator, wrote an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal. The title was not ambiguous. There was no room for interpretation. The title was, Trump's Best Foreign Policy, Not Starting Any Wars. In that piece, Vance argued that his entire adult lifetime had been shaped by presidents who threw America into unwise wars and failed to win them.
J.D. Vance is now pushing a bizarre conspiracy theory that is taking the right by storm. Tonight, CNN's Tom Foreman has fact-checked this claim about Haitian immigrants abducting and eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. Tom?
Trump's own running mate, J.D. Vance, is the main source of this nonsense. He's been talking about this in speeches. He's been posting about this as much as he can. The city of Springfield, in his state, Ohio, says there have been no credible reports of Haitians eating pets. But J.D. Vance, who wants to be vice president of the United States, keeps bringing it up.
And CNN asked Vance's office why he is pushing such a blatant lie. They said Senator Vance has received a high volume of calls and emails over the past several weeks from concerned citizens in Springfield. His tweet is based on what he is hearing from them.
Oh, he's getting calls. I didn't know he was getting calls. Now it makes sense. I guess all you have to do to get J.D. Vance to start spreading crazy things around is make calls.
He was 59.
Correct. And sometimes I said, I have two boys at home. I have my young son and I have my husband. But I know how some men talk, and that's how I saw it, yes.
Melania's rise to First Lady wasn't through politics, public service, or merit. It was through modeling clubs, influential connections, and strategic silence. After marrying Trump, she leveraged her newfound status to bring her family into the U.S. through chain migration, the very policy Trump now vilifies. Think about that for a moment. Melania benefited from every immigration policy Trump campaigns against. She obtained a green card, brought her parents over, and yet stood by Trump as he caged migrant children and attacked non-white immigrants. What does that say about our values? This isn't just hypocrisy. It's weaponized privilege, selective morality crafted to secure votes and shape optics. And Melania didn't just turn a blind eye, she enabled it. She thrived under it quietly and strategically. But Melania's silence has always come at a cost. When Trump was caught on the infamous Access Hollywood tape bragging about sexually assaulting women, she dismissed it as locker room talk. He was 59 years old, yet Melania excused him if he were a boy who'd made a mistake in gym class. That wasn't ignorance, that was brand protection. She even joked, I have to boys, my son and my husband, but where's the line? When the man you marry violates basic human decency, do you stand by him, or do you become complicit? Melania chose the latter. She didn't flinch, didn't question. Instead, she pivoted, defended him, and helped normalize the worst of Trump's predatory behavior.
He said he supported Trump because, quote, "I know he won't recklessly send Americans to fight wars overseas." Then in October 2024, 1 week before Election Day, Vance went on a podcast called The Tim Dillon Show. He said, "Our interest, I think, very much is in not going to war with Iran. It would be a huge distraction of resources. It would be massively expensive to our country." Then at a Pennsylvania campaign rally that same month, Vance told voters, "If you're worried about the world spinning out of control, if you're worried about a military draft, if you're worried about, God forbid, a world war, the best way to prevent it is to vote for Donald Trump."
You don't need to know my name, and I am the new chairman of the FCC.
You were appointed FCC chairman by Donald Trump?
Sir Trump, yes. I used to do this work for the man here and there in Atlantic City.
But did I just hear you on the phone threatening Whoopi Goldberg?
No, I would never threaten Miss Goldstein. I was just teaching her a lesson about consequences.
No, well, pardon me for saying so. Maybe you're the wrong guy to talk to, but it seems like the FCC is using mob tactics to suppress free speech.
What the did you just say?
My mother.
We are definitely not driving back to the brunt of the effect of the shutdown, it will be felt right here in New York. To punish you for disliking him, Trump is putting $18 billion worth of New York City infrastructure projects, like the new rail tunnels under the Hudson and the 2nd Avenue subway project, on hold to make sure the money isn't being used to support DEI. Apparently, they think trans stands for transportation over there, and they want to stop it. This is clearly an abuse of power to punish the city. And New York City infrastructure projects are not supposed to be delayed because Trump wants to strong-arm Democrats into cutting health care. They're supposed to be delayed because they're New York City infrastructure projects.
And then she was also one of the biggest spreaders of the birther conspiracies against former President Obama. She was used by Donald Trump frequently to go and attack Obama. Here, play this clip.
But what is this with the birth certificate obsession? Did he ask to see yours when you met him?
I needed to put mine anyway, because if you want to become an American citizen, you need to put the birth certificate.
Right.
I have a birth certificate from Slovenia. And do you want to see President Obama birth certificate or not?
I've seen it.
It's not a birth certificate.
Well, it's a certificate of live birth,
Right,
which they give. But Melania, if he insists on what he's saying, then no one in Hawaii can ever run for president because they all get the same live birth certificate.
Well, but they need to have...
is finished, for example.
They need to have, and in one way, it will be very easy if President Obama just show it. And because it's not only Donald who wants to see it, it's American people who voted for him and who didn't vote for him. They want to see that.
But it's on display in Chicago. We've seen it on the internet. We've seen it. It's not the same as yours, but it's a certificate of live birth.
Well, we feel it's different than, birth certificate.
All right. Well, I think you should give it up a bit.
While Trump faced backlash for his vulgar remarks, Melania didn't flinch because she had long accepted the man she married.
One day before the bombs hit Tehran on February 28, 2026, Vance told The Washington Post that he was still a skeptic of foreign military interventions. And then, in the White House Situation Room on February 28, 2026, the same day the bombs dropped, according to NBC News and multiple White House sources, J.D. Vance advocated for go big and go fast. Not a limited strike, not a diplomatic off-ramp, the most aggressive option on the table.
First of all, Kimmel was taken off the air because he had low ratings, because the late-night talk show host model was not doing particularly well, and let's be honest, because he had become so politically unhinged that I think he wasn't particularly funny. Now, the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, put out a couple of tweets, but the government took no action. We did literally nothing to try to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. We believe in free speech. We also believe in the right of a television station or a network to cancel somebody because of low ratings. And I think it's a little bit rich. The second point I make, Rashad, is it's a little bit rich for people to say that somehow we're engaged in censorship when literally every day, including yesterday, we found out that Google and YouTube were censoring information at the height of COVID at the direction of the Biden administration. So if we're looking for real sources of the government driving censorship, we should be looking at the policies of the Biden administration. We absolutely reject censorship in the Trump administration. We don't want to prevent anybody from speaking their mind, but if a TV station wants to cancel a guy because he's not funny, that's their business.
But she wasn't just complicit in Trump's behavior. She became a megaphone for his darkest conspiracies. Remember the birther movement, that racist smear campaign questioning Barack Obama's citizenship? Melania played her part on national TV. In interviews, she cast doubt, played coy, and suggested Obama should just show his birth certificate. She wasn't misinformed, she was a deliberate participant in Trump's racist dog whistles. This wasn't a passive first lady. This was someone who amplified lies, sowed division, and undermined a sitting president to help her husband rise to power. That's not innocence, that's alignment. While the world cringed over Trump's affair with Stormy Daniels, Melania wasn't just angry, she was humiliated. Her longtime friend and former advisor, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, revealed that Melania's fury wasn't about the affair itself, but because Stormy was profiled in Vogue. She reportedly sneered, "They put the porn hooker in Vogue, let that sink in." Melania wasn't heartbroken over betrayal, she was jealous of the publicity. She didn't care about Trump's infidelity. She cared that a woman like Stormy got magazine coverage. It's a revealing glimpse into how calculated and superficial Melania's concerns really are. Her dignity wasn't wounded by her husband's actions, it was bruised by another woman's press coverage. And, of course, Melania would go on to plagiarize Michelle Obama's speech at the Democratic National Convention. Literally, Melania's speech at Trump's first Republican National Convention was a blatant copy and paste of Michelle Obama's speech. Let's play it for you. That you work hard for what you want in life. That your word is your bond. That you do what you say you're going to do. That you treat people with dignity and respect. Because we want our children, and all children in this nation, to know that the only limit to the height of your achievement is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them. That cold detachment didn't start with Stormy Daniels, it's always been there.
All in, the Wall Street Journal op-ed, the podcast, the rally, the Washington Post interview, the Situation Room. That is the J.D. Vance story. And Jimmy Kimmel is the one who has been telling it most clearly to the most people. Now let's go through the Kimmel moments themselves, because there are several, and each one maps precisely onto a documented piece of reality that Vance would prefer you forget. The first major Kimmel-Vance clash came in September 2025. You'll remember this from our FCC coverage.
If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme.
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said
We
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
Public policy.
Some ways you can't help but you kind of feel sympathy for J.D. Vance having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know? And I also have to say, I was a little bit worried about Tim Walz going into the debate. You know, I got an email from his wife today asking me for money. I hope they're okay. Here are the Walzes arriving in New York this morning. You can see he's extra fired up because he got a free ramekin of Chex Mix on the plane. It is nice to have a candidate who doesn't make you nervous walking down the stairs from the airplane.
Whether it's ignoring Trump's scandals or copying Michelle Obama's speech word for word during the Republican National Convention, Melania stood on that stage, looked the American people in the eye, and delivered a speech she didn't even write. A speech stolen from a black first lady whom her husband regularly insulted. That wasn't an oversight, it was a declaration. A tone-deaf, shameless move that symbolized exactly what the Trump brand stood for: plagiarism, entitlement, and erasure. Instead of apologizing, they doubled down. Because for Melania and Donald, truth and originality don't matter, perception does. It's all about the grift, no matter who it offends. And speaking of grifts, Melania turned her platform into a personal ATM. Forget about causes or leadership, she's cashing in on digital roses and vanity coin projects. Her meta rose and FT flopped miserably, but not before Trump supporters shelled out $150 for a pixelated image. Why? Because Melania marketed herself as elegant, classy, and mysterious. But behind the silk gloves was a calculated influencer, raking in thousands from her husband's political base. Her stylist earns $18,000 a month from Trump's political PAC, and that's not all. Melania charges $155,000 per speaking engagement she sits, smiles, and signs a check. But who's paying the same forgotten Americans Trump claims to fight for? And she's laughing all the way to the bank.
Kimmel had just returned from the suspension orchestrated when FCC Chair Brendan Carr pressured ABC affiliates after Kimmel's monologue about Charlie Kirk. Two of the nation's largest station groups pulled the show. ABC suspended him indefinitely. He came back on September 23rd to 626 million viewers, the highest-rated episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live in the show's history. The next day, J.D. Vance appeared on Fox News. He said, "Tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air." He denied the FCC had any role.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Ankles was back home at the White House tonight, handing out candy to children. One of the kids was dressed as, you can see him here on the right side, as a light-up marshmallow. And watch this, because this is something Trump has done in the past. Instead of putting candy in the bag, he puts it on. J.D. Vance is crushing it when it comes to policy.
How will we lower the cost of daycare? It's such an important question, Charlie. And I think one of the things that we can do is make it easier for family models to choose, or for families to choose whatever model they want, right? So one of the ways that you might be able to relieve a little bit of pressure on people who are paying so much for daycare is make it so that maybe like grandma or grandpa wants to help out a little bit more. Or
Jimmy Kimmel hilarious reaction on J.D. Vance's daycare solution. His plan to lower costs is to guilt-trip grandma into free labor.
Maybe.
Of course, Melania would plagiarize Michelle Obama's speech at the Democratic National Convention. Literally, Melania's speech during Trump's first Republican National Convention was literally copy and pasted of Michelle Obama's speech. Let's play it for you.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
For what you want in life.
That your word is your bond.
That you do what you say you're going to do.
Keep your promise.
That you treat people
with respect.
With dignity and respect, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Let's not forget where all of this started: the Kit Kat Club. Parties filled with animal acts and European models, hosted by Trump's inner circle. That's where Melania was plucked from obscurity. That's where the so-called love story began, in a room designed to market women like products. And Trump wasn't just browsing, he was shopping. What followed was a fairy tale built on visa favors, media manipulation, and transactional power. She got status. He got a first lady who wouldn't ask questions. But now, with Russia resurfacing her nude photos and using her past as propaganda, even Putin knows what Trump pretends not to, that this isn't a marriage built on love. It's built on mutual exploitation.
He said Kimmel is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't very good. Kimmel played the clip. He called Vance Vice President Maybelline, a nickname he had coined based on Vance's use of eyebrow liner that had become a running internet joke. And then he said, "My ratings aren't very good? Last time I checked, your ratings are somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia." He then noted that he and Trump wear more makeup than Kylie Jenner and Lady Gaga combined. And then he addressed Vance's denial directly. "I have some good news for you, J-Dog. We're back on all the stations, every home, every farm, every strip club, and every prison in America. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your
Tylenol. It's been overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people in the world over the last 6 days. Everyone I have ever met has reached out 10 or 11 times. Weird characters from my past. The guy who fired me from my first radio job in Seattle, where we are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry, and I want to thank everyone who checked.
Dana, the evidence is the first-hand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes.
You know, and now Melania pretty much just grifts. You know, she has her meme grift, which the meme coin crashed. She sells her book, Why Do I Stand Proudly Behind My Nude Modeling Work. Melania was with her personal stylist, Pierre Brallard, who's paid about $18,000 a month. Her stylist gets paid $18,000 a month from Trump's PAC. So Trump's supporters, who demanded the release of the Epstein files, who Donald Trump's calling stupid, they've funded the stylist for her. Oh, by the way, she's gotten paid $155,000 for doing speaking engagements for Donald Trump. You know, she shows up at a location, she sits at a location, she gets paid $155,000 for doing that.
Now here's the real kicker. While Trump supporters chant, lock her up and demand the release of the Epstein client list, they remain blissfully unaware that their idol was deeply entangled with Epstein himself. Not only were Trump and Epstein photographed together repeatedly, but they also shared social circles, partied with the same underage girls, and even praised each other's taste in women. And through it all, Melania was present. Whether at Mar-a-Lago in photo ops or behind the scenes, she saw it all. Yet she said nothing, did nothing, she smiled through it. That silence isn't strength, it's strategy. And now, that silence is costing her. Russia knows her weakness, the public is waking up, and Melania's glossy armor is starting to crack.
6 million people heard this. The audience erupted. And Vance, who had tried to use Kimmel's ratings as a cudgel, had accidentally confirmed that he had been watching closely enough to have opinions about them. Before I keep going, drop a comment right now. One word, one sentence, whatever you're thinking. Every comment tells YouTube this video matters. YouTube shows it to more people. More people know what's going on. Comment now, then let's keep going. Now let's fast forward to February 25, 2026.
Everyone needs to just crack open a Bud Light and relax already. Even the vice president took a break from humping his ottoman to complain about not just me, you.
On Jimmy Kimmel's television program and on The Daily Show this week, you have audiences outright cheering, seeing the images of Teslas on fire across the country. And I saw that and I thought, man, that really is a sign of how much the left has conditioned people to think that that's acceptable.
Yeah, though I will say in defense of the American people, Jimmy Kimmel's show is so unfunny and boring and left-wing that it's
Melania went from a small Slovenian town to a world-famous model to marrying a billionaire and now politician Donald Trump. Melania spoke to me from Trump Tower. Okay, where'd you meet him?
We met in New York, 1996 in September. We met at the fashion party. It was a big fashion party that my friend organized, a fashion week, and he invited me. That's how we met with Donald.
Did you like him immediately or not?
I like him. He had a great charm, but he arrived with a date.
Oh.
He was very charming and a great mind and great energy. We had connection from the beginning.
And when was the next time you saw him?
We saw each other, I think around a week, because I had work obligations. I traveled to Caribbean for a photo shoot. So when I came back, I called him and we got together.
So you called him?
Yes.
He didn't call you?
Well, first when we met, I didn't give him my number. He was with the date. So I told him, give me your number and I will call you. I wanted to see what kind of number he would give me. Business, home. If he would give me a business number, I'm not a girl doing business with him. Why he would give me a business number? So he gave me all of them.
Trump once told Howard Stern that Melania was his trophy. Not partner, not equal, trophy. That one word explains everything. From the Kit Kat Club to the White House, Melania's role wasn't to lead. It was to shine quietly, obediently, predictably.
The State of the Union, Trump's longest address in American history, nearly 2 hours. Kimmel called it the Forgettysburg Address. He noted that only 32% of Americans said heading into the speech that Trump had the right priorities. He noted that Trump's speech was so long that the fact that he's 79 years old and spoke uninterrupted for almost 2 hours is the only proof I'll ever need that he wears a diaper. And then he got to the Vance moment. Trump had announced from the podium, "I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President J.D. Vance. He'll get it done."
Here, Laura, which is that these broadcast companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they enjoy the public airwaves because they serve the public interest. So I actually think that we should be having a conversation about whether these companies are serving the public interest. That's actually totally separate from the Jimmy Kimmel issue because nothing happened to him. He's currently on the air, and to the extent that he's not, it's because advertisers don't like him because his ratings aren't very good.
My ratings aren't very good. Last time I checked, your ratings were somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia. In 3.5 years, I'm not the one who's going to be doing mascara tutorials on YouTube. How did we wind up with a president and a vice president who wear more makeup than Kylie Jenner and Lady Gaga combined?
But what happens when the trophy starts collecting dust or, worse, starts dragging attention back to the scandals you tried to bury? That's what's happening now. Trump's base is starting to see Melania not as a dignified first lady, but as a walking contradiction, an immigrant who abused the system, a family values symbol who tolerated infidelity, a feminist icon who partied with white supremacy. This isn't elegance, this is elite hypocrisy wrapped in designer heels. Even Melania's fashion became political. Her infamous "I really don't care, do you?" jacket worn while visiting detained immigrant children sent shockwaves through the world. Was it ignorance? Was it sarcasm? Or was it a message to Trump's base that she shared their cruelty? Regardless, it cemented one thing: Melania doesn't care. Not about the children, not about the headlines, not even about the optics. That moment shattered the silent elegance narrative and exposed the cold calculation underneath. Everything she does, from plagiarizing speeches to profiting off NFTs, is part of the same Trumpian blueprint: deny, distract, and cash in. And just like her husband, she hides behind vague statements and polished PR, but the truth always leaks.
Have you ever had sex with a fat woman in your life?
I've had sex with women that got fat.
I love this. This is fun. Using Jennifer's back to sign her release.
Have I what? Ever been with a black woman?
The war on fraud, led by J.D. Vance, a man who at that exact moment had just helped advocate for starting an actual war in Iran. A war that had killed 6 American service members by that point, a war fought without congressional authorization, a war whose objectives nobody in the administration could consistently explain. Kimmel said, Trump announced that he is putting J.D. Vance in charge of the war on fraud, which is, remember when OJ promised to find the real killer? That's how this war is going to end too.
There is some silver lining to the shutdown. According to their official website, during the shutdown, our friends at the FCC will cease their response to consumer complaint and inquiry phone lines, which I'm not a lawyer, but I think means we can now say whatever we want on TV, right?
How long you worked here?
A year.
Okay. Donut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which donut, though?
Just whatever makes sense. No pickles. Hold the pickles.
Oh, well, no, I can get that for you.
Go ahead and say yes.
Had to.
Yes.
You had.
Okay, yes.
I view a person who's flat-chested is very hard to be a 10. How do the breasts look? The breasts are okay. Okay, well, that's important. I think that the boob job is terrible. You know, they look like two light posts coming out of a body. You know, Paris gets knocked and this and that, but she's very beautiful. Her skin is flawless. She's dumb like a fox.
And you're going to have more kids?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, sure, I will.
What do you need that headache for?
Because I like kids. I mean, I won't do anything to take care of them.
And things with Melania are good?
Excellent.
The sex is still good?
The sex is extraordinary. Well, she is terrific in bed. Now, she wouldn't want me to say that, but she is.
Oh, man. She's naked there, isn't she?
She is excellent.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a thing of beauty.
Oh, what a life you have.
Not so bad, Robin.
This is a candidate.
Hey, Donald.
That's right.
Does she wear outfits to bed? Like special outfits?
No, she wears nothing.
Nothing.
Which is much better. You know, she's a great beauty, but she's a great beauty inside, which is almost as important.
Not really.
No, probably.
Do you treat women with respect?
I can't say that either.
All right, good. All right. Somewhere in between.
I do. I treat women with great respect.
Treat women somewhere in between respect and do.
Especially the known person as he was. It's very different when you dating celebrity or if you're dating somebody unknown.
Well, so it was several years later before you got married.
Yes.
How many years?
We were together before we got married, it was 7 years we know each other.
Do you have a nickname for him?
No.
No nicknames?
No.
Does he have one for you?
No. We don't have nicknames.
So he asked you to marry you. Where were you when he asked you to marry you?
It was a special night. It was a gala in New York. We were both dressed, and he asked me to marry me.
No hesitation?
No, but I
J.D. Vance wrote that Trump's best foreign policy was not starting any wars. Then he helped start one. He told voters a week before the election that going to war with Iran would be a huge distraction and massively expensive. Then he reportedly argued in the Situation Room for the most aggressive option. He lectured a war hero about gratitude from a yellow couch, invoking the threat of childless cat ladies undermining America. Then he went conspicuously quiet while a war killed Americans and closed the Strait of Hormuz.
He didn't actually say sorry to Charlie Kirk or his family. And the reason that so many people, including me, were so upset with what Jimmy Kimmel said is that he accused Charlie Kirk's murderer of being a MAGA or a right-wing American. It wasn't a joke. It was straight up disinformation. And I really wish Jimmy Kimmel would apologize for it.
I knew a little bit that, he might propose sooner or later. So, and it was, of course, no hesitation. We were together for so long. We know each other. We are very compatible. We like the same things. We are very independent. We gave each other space as well. So he does what he wants to do and he loves to do. And I do what I love to do. That was my decision not to go in the campaign because I said I want to be a parent to my child. And he completely agreed with that. And I said I will be there when I can be there and support him 100% every day, all the time.
You got married down in Florida?
Yes, in Palm Beach, in the church.
And Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and the president was there?
Yes, they were there.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, now it's different time. That was in 2005, was different time. We were private citizens. He was not running for the office. As he said, he was friends and got along with many, many people. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
Have you ever socialized with them besides the wedding, with the Clintons?
No, no.
Any thoughts about if Secretary Clinton is his opponent?
Well, now we will see where it's getting into. So we will see. I know my husband is strong, tough, great leader, and he will do what that country needs.
So it's going to get probably pretty rugged, I imagine, between the two of them, if they're both the candidates.
Yes, we will see.
When asked about it, he said he didn't want to go to prison. Trump is making snide, annoyed comments about him in private. Iran asked for him as a peace negotiator. His own anti-war allies say it's pretty bad for Vance. And Kimmel has been documenting all of it, live in front of millions for months. Share this video, subscribe if you haven't. $9 a month, link in the description. And comment right now, because this story is heading into November and it is not going away. This is America Facticity. I'll see you in the next one.